It was January '69 when I boarded the plane. It was cold outside, and I'd never be the same. When the door reopened, the heat rushed in. The pilot said, "Welcome to Vietnam." He should have said, "Welcome to hell." They gave me an M16, said, "Keep it by my side." A helmet to wear, keep it on your head at all times. As we climbed onto the deuce and a half, they said one more thing: write home to your mom and tell her how nice it is over here in Vietnam. We were covered with dirt from our long truck ride. The base camp didn't look like much, but it'd be home for a while. The minute the squad saw us, the remarks started flying. Effing new guys. But they were all smiling. Oh, it was hot. Then the rain, fire ants and leeches, but no one would listen to you complain. Food from a can, water not clean, water purification tablets, malaria tablets, all led you to the latrine. No shower for weeks, no clean clothes, socks always wet, hair let it grow. Where do you sleep? Wherever you can. No soft bed for these fine men. Hunker down in a hole, lean on a tree, on top of a bunker, but always hiding from the enemy. The choppers came in fast and low. We'd jump on board and off we'd go, fly like an eagle up in the sky. But when we landed, all got ready to die. We hit the ground running, no time for fear. Bullets all around us, many quite near. But then it was over. They all ran away. But we knew they were out there, just hidden away. So we patched up the wounded. Some medevaced out. Then we played cat and mouse, hoping their 9 lives would soon run out. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. Soon we were counting down the days, hoping our luck didn't run out. As we boarded the plane for that long flight home, we were only a year older, but my, how we'd grown. As we stepped off the plane, got down and kissed the ground, that's when we heard all the hissing and booing coming from the crowd. But we stood up with pride. We held our heads up high, but we never talked about it, though 50 years have gone by. Now 50 years later, many are welcoming us home. So here's to all soldiers, welcome home. The wall is black granite. You can see your reflection as you stand there looking at names of those who were taken. There are tears in your eyes, though so many years have gone by. 58,479 won't be forgotten until all us Vietnam veterans meet each other in heaven. Thank you. My name is Rick Herzog. I'm a Vietnam veteran.
Hello, my name is Pat Allen, and I'm an interviewer for the Veterans History Project for the Library of Congress in Washington. And the program in the Cincinnati area is under the leadership of Brian Powers and the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library. And like we just had, we are privileged to be doing an interview of Richard Dale Herzog, and I understand that we're going to be using his name of Rick, and today is May the 30th, 2025, and we're at his home at 9711 Otterbein Road in Evendale, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cincinnati in southwest Ohio. So first of all, Rick, let me thank you for doing this interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Before we get into your military service, let's talk about you and the family. Tell us when and where you were born.
Well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was born in 1947 in March. I grew up in Hartwell.
What is Hartwell? Is that a suburb of Cincinnati?
Suburb of Cincinnati.
All right. What was your mom and dad's names?
Okay, my mom was Lyda Baker Herzog, and my dad was Edward Herzog.
Edward H.
Edward H. Howard.
All right. Do you know when your dad was born? Roughly?
I can't remember.
How about your mom?
My mom, I think, was 21, 1921. Or no, 21 was my dad, and 29 was my mom.
Okay. Do you know how your mom and dad met at all?
No, have no idea.
You know when they married?
They married on December the 26th, 1940.
46?
46.
Day after Christmas.
The day after Christmas.
Yeah. Where'd they get married?
At the courthouse.
In Cincinnati?
In Cincinnati.
Okay. So, and you were born in 47?
I was born in March 47, so there's a little time discrepancy there.
Uh-huh. Were you their first child?
Yes. And I have two sisters, Marcia, and the youngest one is Luann, and then I had a half-brother, Edward.
When was Martha born?
Marcia was born in 48, and Luann, she was 15 years later, so I'm not sure exactly when that was.
Okay, what is Marcia's last name at this
Proud.
time? Proud?
Yes.
And Luann is Luann?
Yes.
And what's her last name?
Vonden Bacon.
Bondenbeken? K-E-N, rather? Where's Luann live?
She lives in Reading, Ohio.
That's outside of Cincinnati?
Yes. And Marcia lives in Williamsburg? No, Mount Orb.
Mount Orb?
Ohio.
That's east of Cincinnati,
Yes.
on 68?
Yes.
All right.
Or out 32, I think. Well, 68 and 32.
What's Marcia's husband's name?
His name was Mike. He was in the Navy. He was a Vietnam veteran. He died of liver complications, mainly due to Agent Orange.
Oh, sorry about that.
He passed away about 4 years ago. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
How about Luann's husband? What's he do?
Luann's husband, actually Luann and Tom, his name, they both own a restaurant bar over in Covington, Kentucky, called The Hum.
All right, I was going to ask you to give it a plug on that. All right. So, you were born in 47. Where did you live after that?
I grew up in Hartwell, which was on, actually the area was called Rensselaer Park. I grew up in an apartment above a little corner store. I went to Hartwell Elementary School through 6th grade. After the 6th grade, I went to Woodward, which was a high school and junior high, I guess would be, because it was 8th grade through 12th grade when I went to Woodward.
All right.
I graduated in 1966. My dad built a new house one street over from Galbraith, or from Caldwell Drive is where we were. My dad built the house, took him 3 years. And when we moved in there, about 4 houses down from me, our new house was Peggy, my wife's house, and that's where I met her when she was 11.
Okay, well, let's go back to your grade school there at Hartwell.
Mm-hmm.
You went there through the 6th grade?
Yes.
And then from that, in the 7th grade, you went to Woodward, which was junior high and high school?
Yes.
Now, when you were in high school or grade school, did you work any place?
When I was in high scholer, I mainly worked for my dad. He owned a company, well, he owned he was a builder. He a remodeler, and so I did a lot of remodeling work with him. And then he started a sheet metal company that was called Langdon Sheet Metal Company. And so I started working there.
About when was that? What grade or your age?
I'm going to guess Langdon started probably in 64 or 5.
What'd you do when you were working at sheet metal?
Well, it was a union shop, so most of the stuff I did was sweeping the floor and taking out trash, and unless it was on a Saturday, then I could get in there and work on sheet metal, moving it around and things like that.
When none of the other union guys were there?
Right.
So your dad would get in trouble with the union?
Right.
Oh, all right. How'd you get paid?
I got $50 a week. That was cash. And
what kind of stuff did you do with your dad when you were remodeling or building?
Oh, we did a lot of carpentry work. We do additions. We do remodeling of kitchens and bathrooms, and just anything and everything. We did a lot of concrete work, pouring sidewalks. He used to get contracts with the city of Cincinnati and go in and bid on a whole street, and they would go in and mark all the blocks, and we'd come in there and break all the blocks out and then pour all the concrete, which was hard.
Hard work?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, besides working, did you have any time to do any other extracurricular things in school?
Okay, my big thing in school, actually I started in grade school, started working out in the gymnastics, and then when I went to Woodward, I got to be on the gymnastic team at Woodward, and my senior year I was the captain of the team. And my big thing was the parallel bars, or the long horse.
Uh-huh.
And then, other than that, if I wasn't at school practicing, I was working with my dad.
Okay.
Saturdays, Sundays, and any other time.
So you met Peggy when you were 11?
When she was 11.
She was 11.
I think I was 14. I think 14.
How'd you meet her? Same school?
No, she lived right down the street. I moved in right down the street, 4 houses down.
Okay.
And she...
well, was she going to the same school?
No, she went to St. James in the city of Wyoming, and which Woodward was over here, and St. James was way over here.
Okay.
But she actually came down to my house, I guess, with my sister right after we moved in. She walked in the front door and came in and she kind of stunned me, so I ran out the back door. And
It wasn't love at first sight, it was fright at first sight. Huh?
right. And so, but after that, we got married when she was 19. Just 5 days before she would have turned 20.
What was the date of your marriage? This is a test because she's here with us.
May the 2nd.
You graduated?
70.
All right. So
I got back from Vietnam on March the 21st of 70, and we got married on May the 2nd, 1970.
all right. Well, let's. What was your sister's name, or what is your sister's name?
Marcia Gale Herzog, well, proud.
And when was she born? Was she the second child?
Yes, she was born August the 15th, 1948, I believe. Luann.
Where did she go to school? Did she go to
She
same
went
schools?
to Woodward High School with me.
Okay.
So she was a year behind me. I actually was held back in 2nd grade at Hartwell, and so she caught up with me, and so we went through all the way through and graduated together in 1966.
What did she do during high school? She doing the extracurriculars?
I have no idea.
How about Luann? When was she born?
Again, I know it was like 15 years after Marcia, but I don't know. Do you know?
So that would have been 63? 15 years after Marcia?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I've got her being born in 48.
Yeah.
So Luann was born in the 60s?
Yes. And what month was she born in?
I think April.
Peggy thinks it might have been April.
Yes.
All right, so you graduated in 66. What did you do then?
I really liked, the only thing that I really did any good with in high school was art. I was, as far as reading, writing, and math, I was not very good. So I did a lot of art. I liked art. So after high school, I went to a place called Central Academy of Commercial Art. And I was there for 2 years. It was a 2-year course. And you learn how to do advertising art for like newspaper ads and magazines and billboards and packaging.
Was that in Cincinnati?
It was on Upland Place in Walnut Hills.
What did you do for at Central Academy when you first went in there? Was it all classroom work?
Yes, it was all, you had some life drawing, but most of it was learning how to do lettering and how to lay out ads, and then a lot of painting. I did a lot of painting.
What were you painting? People, scenes, still life, what?
I have paintings of a flag, the American flag. I had to do paintings of houses in color, and then at the same house in black and white and grays. And then you did people. You're always drawing people. And then
Now, your personal products, was the Academy selling those to the public, or what was happening to those products that you were painting?
no, we just took everything home.
Okay.
Actually, I have a few samples in the other room.
You showed us those samples. You got quite a collection of your paintings. It's super. Looks super. So you graduated from Central Academy after 2 years?
Well, in my second year, in January of my second year, was in '68, I knew that I was going to, I figured that there was a 99% chance that I was going to be drafted. So I wanted to make sure that I finished school, and one day after school, I went downtown to the Federal Building, and I signed up for the draft. I volunteered for the draft, and then the reason I did that was then I could pick the day that I was going to go in, and I picked August the 19th, so I could make sure that I finished school. And so then I finished school.
What did you get after you finished school? Was it some kind of a diploma or a degree?
Right. I had a diploma stating that I spent my 2 years getting, the education in commercial art.
Okay. So you worked at the academy early that summer, June and July?
Yes.
And then in August, where'd you report on the 19th?
I reported at the Federal Building, downtown at the Federal Building, and there was 20, including me, there was 21 recruits that took the oath to be in the Army. And
why did you pick the Army?
Because I was only going to have to go in for 2 years. And my dad was in the Air Force, and I really didn't know anything about his time in the Air Force. He never talked to me about it.
Was he in the Air Force during the Second World War or Korea?
Yes, you're right. So it was the Army Air Force.
Right.
And then it changed over to the Air Force, and he had to go back after the Second World War. He had to go back in '50 to train other people on a C-47. And that was up in New England area. I'm not sure exactly where it's at.
Is that what he flew in World War II?
He was the crew chief. He kept the plane running.
Okay.
He did all that for a C-47 in the Second World War, and he transported troops on the C-47 that went in on D-Day. Paratroop shoot it in.
Well, that was rather hazardous duty.
Yes, it was.
Do you have any of his memorabilia?
Yes, I actually have wrote a little story about it, about his time. I never knew anything about him, his Air Force stuff, except a couple pictures until after he passed away. And then I started researching, and I found a lot of information about his time
About
there.
the unit he was in and all that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's super. I've interviewed a number of World War II fellows, and they're really my heroes. 'Cause I was born in '39. Okay, so you signed up down at the Federal Building, and then where do you go?
I went to Fort Benning, Georgia.
How'd you get there?
I'm not real sure. I think it was bus.
What did you do there?
We just trained. We did a lot of running. We did a lot of push-ups. But we learned how to use our firearms, how to tear down our M16s, how to shoot, marksmanship. And so...
Did you do any hiking?
Oh, we were always hiking. Oh, thank you.
What's an idea of some of the long hikes you had to do during training?
Well, we did, everywhere we went, we either ran or most of the places we ran. We really didn't do as much hiking until I went to Fort McClellan, Alabama,
All right.
for AIT training.
Well, how long were you at Benning? 6 weeks, 2 months?
It was 8 weeks, I believe.
8 weeks?
Yes.
And then you went to Alabama?
Then I went to Fort McClellan, Alabama, which was basically a for women. there was like 20,000 women there, and there was only 2,000 men. I don't remember the exact figures in that. I have it written down someplace, but
well, what kind of accommodations did you have for
we
the men?
had barracks there that were actually, Fort Benning was all sand, and it was hot. There was sand. We were in the barracks was 2 stories high. I was on the 2nd floor. We had no air conditioning. You left the windows open. You were not allowed to have lights on at the end of in the dark. Then when we went to Fort McClellan, Alabama, it was mountains all around you. It was all green. It was beautiful. We had a concrete block buildings for our barracks, and they were all just one level. The worst, you ask about hiking before, we had to go up a 25-mile mountain. It was all uphill, 25 miles, full gear. And
how much did that weigh?
I don't recall. It was...
Well, are we talking about 50 pounds or
probably,
70 pounds?
Probably 50 to 70 pounds. And so that was a hard trip.
Did you have to perform that up and back the same day?
Yes.
And did you have to do it within a certain period of time?
I really don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember how you felt when you got back to base?
I was really tired. Really tired.
How was the food at McClellan?
All the food was pretty good, except for when we had to go out and they brought our food out. And most of the time we ate in the mess hall, but every so often you'd be out and they would bring the food out to you. And this one time we were out there and I went up and I got the food that they gave us, and I got a carton of milk, went back and started to eat it, or eat the food, and I took a drink of the milk and just big swig of it, and it was spoiled.
Oh.
And it was terrible. So I had to go back up and get another one, and I came back and I did the exact same thing again. It was spoiled again. Mm-hmm. So I didn't drink any more milk.
Well, In the mess hall, was there any co-ed eating, or did you guys eat separate from the women?
We were all strictly kept separate. The women were in another area. We were just all men where we were at. I remember having to go in the evenings and have to clean the mess hall, or we had to peel potatoes, and you didn't peel potatoes like with a knife peeling. You put them in this big tub and it would spin them around, and there was all these little sharp edges in there, and it just round them up. It would take all this, the peeling off of it. And so.
How long were you at McClellan?
Again, 8 weeks.
What's your next assignment?
Then I came home for a month, and then on January the 11th of '69, I boarded a plane over in Kentucky and flew to Fort Lewis out in Washington, and then to Hawaii for just touchdown, get gas, then to, I think it was Oklahoma or Okinawa, and touchdown and got gas, and then we flew into
Where'd you land?
Benho, I think it was. I'd have to look at the map and see.
Well, let's talk about these 30 days at home. What all did you do during that 30 days? Were you seeing Peggy at that time?
Right. Spent a lot of time with Peggy.
And what'd you do? Go to movies?
It was Christmas. That was at Christmas time also. So we spent a lot of time with Christmas with her family, my family, and then on New Year's, we always went to her aunt's house on New Year's Eve, and we threw, at New Year's, we threw confetti everywhere. That was the big thing. It was all over the house completely. And we still do it every New Year's. That's the way we do our New Year's.
Still today?
Still today, except after we got married, it was at our house for many, many years, and now for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, we've been doing it at my son's house, so that's much nicer. So I don't have to clean it up.
We haven't talked about your son. What's his name?
Rusty.
When was Rusty born?
72. And April 25th.
4/25/72.
Yep.
And
then Julie.
When was Julie born?
She was born November 14th.
November the 14th.
November 14th.
74.
74. What's Rusty doing these days?
Well, he graduated from University of Dayton with a criminal justice degree, and he went on to be an officer and then the chief of police in the city of Wyoming. And now for the last 4 or 5 years, he is the city manager of the city of Wyoming.
So you have kids?
He has 5 kids.
And are they all still at home?
Except those that are in college.
How about Julie? What's Julie's last name?
Robinson.
And what's her husband's name?
Keith.
Keith. Does Julie work outside the home?
She works for the Hamilton County Park District. She mainly is at Sharon Woods.
Great parks.
It's Great Parks.
Great Parks.
She's a supervisor. She's in charge of the different programs that they have at the parks.
I'm familiar with Great Parks. What's Keith do?
He works for Claremont County.
Yeah, he works for Claremont County. That's I'm not real sure.
For the,
Claremont County, just east of Hamilton County, where
Yes.
Cincinnati is.
Yes,
They have children?
they have 5 children.
I didn't ask about Marcia and Luann. Does Marcia have children?
She has 2.
How about Luann?
She has 2.
All right, so you spend your 30
And then,
days. Go ahead.
except now, I also have Emily
Emily, okay.
Farthing.
What's her last name?
Farthing.
Spell that.
Farthing.
Where does Emily live?
In Reading, Ohio.
She work outside the home?
Right, she works for Ryan Homes in their loan division.
What's she? Is she married? What's her husband's name?
Joe.
Does Joe work for Ryan?
No, he works for Gulf Manor. He's in the maintenance department.
Is that locally?
Yes, it's over by Pleasant
Ridge?
Pleasant Ridge.
They have kids?
Yes, they have 2. Abigail, she's in college at Miami, and then Michael, and he's at Moeller.
So I've got Russ.
We have another one.
I was going to say I've got Peggy and your wife, and I've got Marcia and Luann. I've got Rusty, Julie, and Emily, and we've got more.
Katie
Katie.
Kossel. Kossel.
And where's Katie living?
Oh, sorry.
She lives in Amelia.
Amelia? That's part of Cincinnati? Or is that over in Claremont County?
I think that's in Claremont County.
She work outside the home?
She,
Is a preschool teacher.
yes, preschool teacher at St. Bernadette.
What's her husband do?
He works for the Greater Cincinnati, Kentucky Airport.
They have children?
In financing over there.
They have children?
Yes, they have 4. Sophie, Logan, Luke, and Jordan.
Sometimes girls are named Jordan. Is that boy or girl?
Girl.
Do I have all your kids now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to Okinawa, and you fly from Okinawa over to Vietnam.
Right. I think it was Long Ben is where the airport is.
Put that over on that arm.
Long Ben.
Let's see if
I see it's.
let's see if Tom can focus in on that.
Well, let me see if I can. Well, we probably flew into Cameron Bay.
Okay.
Is where we flew into. It'd be right there.
Is that okay, Tom?
Yeah, I'm zooming in. Got it.
Show again where you flew in. Right there.
Right. Cameron Bay, right there.
Okay. And while we've got that up there, we'll get into more detail, but generally, where was most of your action?
Okay, my main base camp was in Cu which is right here.
Okay.
So we worked this whole area right here.
All right. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, how did you get there? What kind of a plane did you fly in on?
Just a big one.
Was it a commercial plane?
Yes, they were all. It was a commercial flight,
You know
but I don't remember.
Do you know how many troops went in there with you?
I know that there was 3 seats on one side, 3 seats on the other side of the aisle, and it was just a. I mean, I have a picture of it, but
Full of troops.
yes, it was full of troops.
When you landed, got off the plane, what struck you?
Actually, what struck me was once we got off the plane and we were there for a short amount of time, they made us brush our teeth. They were having an experiment with, I think, fluoride. So we had to brush our teeth with this special toothpaste. And then, besides that, they took all our American dollars and coins. They didn't want us to have any coin. Actually, I just think that the sergeants and that were there handling us, they were just taking it off because they knew that they can get more Vietnamese money. They could double up if they had American cash.
Okay.
So they took all our money, and then they put us through a 2-week course on booby traps, and the things that you were going to actually find out in the field before they sent us to our company.
Well, some of the guys who landed there told me about the heat and the smell. Did that impress you at all? Particularly?
Not really.
Okay. So, what were your accommodations? First of all, what was your base where you spent those 2 weeks?
Tang.
How big a base was that?
Well, our base camp, which we would have gone to later, was only like 100 yards in diameter, and it was a big circle. So Dao Tang was much bigger. It was much safer. It was. I'm sure that it was. You could probably put our base camp. You could have probably put 20 of those in it. It was a big base camp.
So that was a big base of operations.
Right, and they had buildings there. It wasn't, a bunker or that. They had bunkers, but all the places you slept were in big wooden buildings.
Sleep on cots or sleeping bags or what?
No, on cots.
Mess hall?
They had a mess hall.
How's the food?
As far as I can remember, it was okay. It was much better than when we were out in the field and all we ate was from cans.
Did you have to do any cleaning up of your your home there and
Yes.
potatoes?
You had to, you had to get up and police the area every day, and you had to pull different chores, and then at night you had to go out and man different bunkers around the perimeter of the building. And I do have a quick story about one of those nights that the first night that I went out on a bunker, they sent me out. I was brand new, only been there a couple days, and they sent me out to this bunker. I was scared to death. And I was out there with two cooks that had to pull this every so often. And so we were talking and different things, and they said, the easiest shift is the first shift, watch. So why don't you take the first watch? That way we can handle the rest for you. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So we talked a while, and then I finally, I started pulling my watch, and they went to sleep. So it was like a 3-hour watch. I don't remember exactly the amount of time, but at the end of my time, I went over and I tried to wake the next guy up, and he just kept pushing me away. He said, go away, go away. And finally, I tried, and I couldn't get him up, so I sat there and I did his watch. And so I went through his watch, and then the next guy, it all happened again. He wouldn't get up. So I'm sitting on this bunker. There's concertina wire in front of me. There's big floodlights so you can see out beyond you. And you're scared to death that you're going to have all these Vietnamese come charging in on you, and you're you're just there.
You're by yourself.
By yourself. And the next morning, they all just laughed at me. And that never happened again.
So did the cooks get reprimanded at all for not sharing that?
No.
So you did your 3 hours and each of their 3 hours. So
yes.
You were out there 9 hours?
Yes.
But it was all safe. You didn't have anybody trying to sneak past you?
I didn't see anybody sneak past me. Thank goodness.
Lord. Give me an example of some booby traps that you were trained to look out for.
Most of the things that I can remember we were looking for were spikes that you would step on, many landmines. A lot of the men that I saw get killed were from landmines. And this is another little short story. I was actually in charge of my squad, and we were walking through rice paddies, and our lieutenant told us that we were going to take a break, and so I spread my men out, and we were on a berm, a rise of the dirt in between the rice paddies. And we were all sitting right there, and we finished eating our lunch, and I got up and decided that I needed to take a leak, and I walked up a little ways where the berm started to go across the side from one place to another place, and I turned and I went over and I relieved myself, and on the way back to where I was at, or my guys were at, I heard a click under my foot, and I just froze, and I yelled over to the other guys. I said, I think I stepped on a mine. I said, everyone back away. I said, the only thing I can do is just jump. And so I did. I just jumped into the mud, the rice
paddy?
and it didn't go off.
Phew.
And I walked back, and I wanted to say, well, was it a stick or what did I step on? So I slowly made my way back to that spot, and I looked down, and there's a clip on a mine. It's like on a spring. It's bent like this, and when you step on it, it goes down, but when you take your foot off, it pops back up, and that's what sets the mine off. And the whole unit broke off, and the mine didn't go off. So I picked up that little piece that it broke off, and I wore it around my neck for many months until I lost it. I don't know what ever happened to it.
Well, the good Lord was looking after you on that one.
Please?
The good Lord was looking after you on that one.
Yes, he was. She was praying for me a lot. Peg was.
Wow.
So, but those type of things, they showed us where bamboo was swinging out at you and things like that. But mainly it was mines, because that's where most of the destruction was. I had two good friends that lost their lives because of mines.
Well, did you move around from one base to another?
We went out to our base camp. Like I say before, it was about 100 yards in diameter, maybe a little bit bigger. And in the middle of the base camp would have been our fire support, so that would have been where the artillery was. And then we would have a bunker right on the perimeter, and then maybe 50 feet away another bunker and all the way around like that. And you would have the whole. I was in Company B, so we would have most of that, and then there would be another company there also. So when I got there, I was at Fort Malone 2, I believe it was, and then we went to another place called Chamberlain. Then we went to another place that was Keene. Another place was Keene. So they would move the base camps around.
Well, let's talk about that first one. Somebody that's going to be watching this 20 or 30 years from now, tell us what your artillery fire base was. What did it consist of? Were they 105s or 155s or what?
I think they were 105s. I know that basically we could go out 11 miles and they could reach us. Beyond 11 miles, we would not have any support.
You'd be on your own.
Right. Our bunkers at at Malone, they were actually dug down into the ground. You could stand up in them. Then they had sandbags around them, steel top, and then sandbags on top of that. You had firing out the front and the sides. You had concertina wire out in front of you. We had chain link fence right in front of the bunker, so if someone shot an RPG at you, it would hit that and blow up before it got to the
bunker itself.
bunker itself. We normally had around, right behind the bunkers, we had metal troughs, let's say, that were the road, because it would get so muddy over there because of the monsoons that you had to have metal to keep from sinking down into the dirt. And then another thing that a lot of people don't understand is that when you're in one of these base camps, you don't have running water. So your latrine is not even enclosed. It's a barrel cut in half that's sitting on the ground filled with diesel fuel, and you have a board sitting over the top of it, and that's your John. You're out in the middle of, if you're standing right here, right over there, you can see one of your buddies sitting on a barrel going to the John. And then the artillery tubes that the shells came in, those would be stuck down into the dirt, and those were called our piss tubes.
Okay.
That's where you peed. And then if you got the chance to take a shower, it's when they brought in a trailer, a water trailer, and you got to fill up a canvas bucket that had a little nozzle on that you could take a shower from. You never had cold water. Of course, it was always hot there. So you didn't take showers very often.
How often? Once a week? Once a month? Or what?
Oh, well, if you got one every other week, you were doing good. So a lot of times you would just jump in a bomb crater that was filled with water and take your bath in that, or in a stream. Anything that, but if you were in a stream, you might have a big oxen up here a little bit further crapping in the stream that's coming down. And that same stream is where you're getting most of your water that you're going to drink, or your bomb craters, or you didn't get that much water from supply.
So what did you do with the water from the stream? Did you have pills to purify it?
You had water purification tablets, and you had malaria tablets,
But that wouldn't help the taste, would it?
No.
Oh man.
The biggest thing that you looked for when you were out in the rice paddies is to look for a Coke kid. You see this little kid, he's got his bike, and he's riding around on these little narrow berms of dirt in between the rice paddies, and he's got a big styrofoam cooler on the front and one on the back, and he's got it filled up with ice. What's the ice that's really cold? I can't even think. Dry ice.
Dry ice, yeah.
He's got dry ice in there, and he's got these Cokes in there, and so as soon as you saw one coming, you wanted to buy, wherever, you always had money to buy a Coke or a Pepsi, or I like Pepsi, but most of them were Cokes.
Were any of these kids ever a threat to you?
Yes.
Give us an example of that.
Okay, and Fort Malone, I think that's the name of it. My mind is old. But we had while I was there, we had 2 assaults on our base camp. The one of them I was out, so I wasn't there. But the other one I was there. And the morning after the assault, where you had all these Vietnamese trying to overrun you, the next morning you had to go out and gather up all the dead Vietnamese, and one of our co-kids was actually Vietnamese.
Had he been one of the people trying to get into your camp?
Yes.
He had.
So he was armed. He had his AK with him. He was ready. You know, that night he was out there trying to shoot you. During the day he was selling cokes to you.
Had you seen him before?
Yes. He was one of our main coke kids.
Oh man. One of the fellows I interviewed said that one of the kids had been killed, but he was carrying a Coke can that had been a grenade. Did you ever hear of something like that?
We just knew you never picked up anything that was left around. And you tried never to leave any of your stuff around because they would make some type of weapon out of it.
Tell us about the assault that you were involved in. What at camp at Fort Malone? What transpired? How did they try to assault you, and what went on?
They just
Was this first of all? Was it at night?
yes. They always did their things at night. That way you couldn't see them, and they could if you were out on a mission and you were set up at night, they could crawl 100 yards, and it might take them all night long to get to you, and they might be right there, and you not even know it, because they were so slow, so silent. And so in the big base camp, when they came in to try to overrun it, I don't know how many dead we had there in the morning, but so many. We had concertina wire all the way around the place. So they had to try to get through the concertina wire. And then we had claymore mines set up that you actually fired once they start coming, and you knew they were coming. You're shooting your M16, you're shooting your LAW, which was like a bazooka type item, or your M79, which was a grenade launcher. Instead of throwing grenades, it would actually shoot them out. You're throwing grenades. We had I don't know how many of our soldiers died in that attack. I just don't know.
By whom were you attacked? Were these Vietnamese, or were these North Vietnamese? Or?
They were Vietnamese. They were North Vietnamese. Most of the Vietnamese that you came across were just people that wanted to live alone. They didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. But people would come in and act like they were just your friends and everything else. But at night, they would switch their uniforms and then try to come after you.
Well, did the North Vietnamese have a regular uniform?
They had regular uniforms. And I don't know if I told you or not, but I wrote a book, and in one of my little short stories, it says The Belt. And when I first was over there, I was an radio operator, and we set up an ambush, and a Viet Cong army guy walked into our ambush that we had set up for the night. Because most of the times that's what we did. we just went out and set up ambushes everywhere. And mainly at night is when the ambush would be set up, and we would wait for someone to try to sneak through. And so this one guy, one Viet Cong came down, and we saw him, and he was shot. And and the sun, and it was early in the morning. The sun was just coming up, and he was shot. He was laying there. I called in. And told him. I said, you know, we have a Viet Cong here. He looks pretty bad. Do you want to send somebody to interrogate him? And they said, no. We don't have time for that. We're going to be moving out. Put him down. And I'm a radio operator. I'm new over there, and they told me to shoot this soldier that was laying there. And I did.
What kind of weapon did you have?
M16.
Well, I heard that they had problems with some of their rifles over there. Were those M14s or 16s? Or?
Well, the M14 we did not want to carry because they were so much heavier. And they were actually the ones that were being used in, I guess, the Second World War. Mm-hmm. We never had problems with our M16s. But when he was laying there, we were getting ready to move out. He had a belt on, and I took his belt off as for a souvenir. And I had that belt, and so it was a Vietnamese Army belt, because we were talking about their uniform. Mm-hmm. And I got it sent home without them confiscating it.
Well, that was unusual.
Yes. And I sent it home, and we got married, and I put it in my my sock drawer right next to my bed, and it was there until 2019. I think that's when we went to, we had a reunion in Washington, and we were going to go to the wall, and I took the belt and I left it at the wall. I couldn't take looking at it anymore.
Well, how many guys, you said you would often go out on these ambushes. How many guys would be in your group? Was it just a squad or a company?
When we first got over there, the whole company would go out. And then a little later, it got down to just a platoon would go out, which was hopefully around 30 guys. And then it got down to squads, where you might have, 7 or 8, 9 guys going out. And
did you always have a radio guy with you on these ambushes?
yes.
Okay, and did you ever go out on any of these ambushes when you weren't the radio guy?
Well, yes, most of them, because I was only a radio operation for the first, April through April of '69. The rest of the time, I was pretty much in charge of the squad.
Okay.
I was the leader of the squad.
What was your rank when you first got there?
I was a PFC when I first got there, and then a couple months later I became a Spec 4, and then in August or September, I think it was August, I became an E6 sergeant.
And when you finished your tour,
I was,
sergeant?
yeah.
All right. Anything interesting happened when you went to Chamberlain?
No, I really don't remember anything other than this is really a goofy little thing to remember, but my captain of my company was from the New York area. And we were in the bunker one time, and he said to go out and get him a tonic.
Get a what?
A tonic.
Okay.
And I said, oh gosh. So I went out and said, maybe he wants bug spray or bug repellent or something. And so I got some bug repellent, and I started to come back in, and my first sergeant major came in, and he said, what did he tell you to get? And I said, a tonic. And he says, he wants a Coke. And I said, oh, well, you know, it's a pop or a Coke. It's not. Yeah. So they a lot of their language is different.
Right. When I was in college, I went to college with guys from the East, and I always called it pop, and they called it soda. Yeah. I didn't know what they were talking about at first. Jeez.
So, but there's all kinds of little stories of things that happened that were either funny or sad or...
Well, that's why we're here. Tell us some of the stories that you remember.
Like when the first night that I went out to the camp, the Camp Malone. Malone 1, I think, or Malone 2. But when I got out there, we rode out there in a truck, and we got out there and we're just covered with dirt. We got in and we walked through the gate on the far side of our camp, the circle, and I had to walk all the way across to where I was going to, where my platoon was. So we got over there, I got over there, we all introduced each other and all that, and these guys had just came out back from a mission where they were out for like 5 or 10 days, and they were told that we were going to have to go out and for a I can't remember the names of it, but we were going to have to go out. There was going to be 4 of us, and we were going to go outside the perimeter after dark. We were going to go out about 300 feet or more, and we were going to set up a perimeter there, and we were just sitting ducks. That's what it was supposed to be. You know, early
for some.
We were just an early warning. You know, we were going to go out, and if somebody started to come in, we would see them. We could radio in and tell them that we have people coming our way. Well, they told me that I wouldn't have to go out because I was brand new, and they wouldn't want me to have to go out the first night. Well, when it came out and they pulled all the names out and that, I was one of the guys that we had to do it. And so right as it started getting dark, we got all geared up. We had all this ammo and our radio and just everything. And so we had to walk back across our camp back to where the gate was that I came in that morning. And we're walking over there, and it's dark at this point, and right as we got to the gate, the leader of my squad there, he turned and he went over to the first bunker, and he said, "Okay, everyone store their gear down in here." And I asked him, I said, "What are we doing? Aren't we supposed to be going out?" He said, "I'm short. I don't have many days left here. I'm not going out there and get killed. So we're staying in this bunker tonight." And so we all got in this bunker, and all I could think was, we're supposed to be out there protecting this place. And it was just one of those things that you're not really...
You weren't following orders.
We were not following orders. I was following his orders, but we were not following orders. And
fortunately, nothing happened that night.
Fortunately, nothing happened. And
did you follow up?
That never happened again.
Did you follow up with him? Did he eventually live long enough to get out of there?
Yes, he got out.
Jeez.
So, and so another short story. I don't know how long you want to do this.
Tell me stories.
Just another short story is that we were out for a month. We were out in the boonies at our camps and doing the different things, and we got a little R&R. We got to go back to the main base camp, Dao Tang, or Dao Tang. No, Tainan. That's where. I'm not sure. I can't remember all the names. But so we got to go back. We could get a good meals. We could sleep on cots. But you still had to pull duties, do different things there. And our duty this one particular day was that we had to go out and string concertina wire. And so what our job was to do, we had to take these big long hooks about this long, and it had a big eye hook on it, and it had screw on the bottom, and you'd put a board in it, and two of you would get it and start walking around in a circle and drilling this pole down into the ground. And once you got it secure, then they would take the concertina wire and wrap it around it so it couldn't go anyplace, and on to the next. So we were out there putting all these poles in. Well, we were out there for an hour, and the guys that had been there a long time, they said, "We don't want to do this." They all went over and they got under this tree so that they could be out of the sun, because they were all hot. And the more that went over, the more kept going. And all of a sudden, it was just me and the guy that was helping me screw these ends. And he said, "Well, I'm not going to do this any longer." So he left. So I'm out there and I'm screwing these things in the ground like this. And I don't know how many I put in. I put in a few. And this Jeep pulled up. And and it was the Sergeant Major. And he pulled up and he got out of the Jeep and he said, "Where is everyone?" And I said, "Oh, well, they're all hot. They're over there in the sun taking a break right now." And he says, "Well, why are you here?" And I said, "Well, I was told to put these in. I'm new at this, so I'm just doing what I was told to do." And he said, What's your name and outfit?" And I told him my name and my outfit and that. And he's telling this to the driver of the Jeep, and he says, "Take all this information down." He said, "Because you work so hard and you're doing their job and that, I'm putting you in for Spec 4. So I became a Spec 4, and I outranked everyone else that had been there for 6 months or more.
They were taking it easy and you were working.
And I was out there working. So I ended up being their boss for...
Did they resent that?
No, not really.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a few of them, but overall they got over it.
Well, on how many occasions did the VC and the North Vietnamese try to overrun your camps?
Overrun our camps, it wasn't that much. We had one situation, it was on April the 12th, 1969, and I was carrying, it was the last time I carried the radio. And normally when you fly, everywhere you went, if you were going to go on a mission, you flew in on a helicopter. That's why I like my picture of my helicopter.
And what kind of helicopters were they?
Hueys.
Okay.
And so there would be like 6 or 7 guys on a Huey. Well, the whole company was going in, and that meant the first platoon, the second platoon, and the third platoon were all going to be going in. So basically, it could be somewhere between 80 and 90 soldiers. And normally when we went in, first platoon always led, but this particular time, we second and third platoon went in first, and we kind of held back. We flew in, we got off the choppers, first platoon or second platoon and third platoon led the way out, and we stayed back with the company commander. And it started getting dark, and we were walking through this, they were walking through this area, and they ran into an ambush. There were VC all around us. And
around you or around
around those,
the whole bunch?
The two platoons that went in first.
Okay.
And they were just getting hammered. They couldn't get it out. They couldn't go anywhere. They were all getting hit, and so our company commander said, "I need 10 guys to go in and try to relieve them, to get them out, and the rest of the platoon would stay back with the company leader." And so I was one of them. I was the radio operator.
So why did you volunteer for that?
I don't know. I just did.
Okay.
Because the rest of my squad, they were all saying they were going to go. So.
Okay.
So we went in. We had to go about 300 yards to catch up with them. And when we went in, they were just getting hammered. They were on both sides of them. They walked right into the middle of them. It was just.
What was this, small arms fire? Is this mortars or what?
They were small arms fires. There were mortars, grenades. They were just everything going on, and they had already lost one of the platoon leaders was killed. The other one was wounded really bad. And a lot of other guys were being hit. And so we went in and we tried the best we could do, but we were just they were shooting at us. It was just a mess.
You only went in there with 10 guys, right?
Right. And so one of the guys I was with me yelled, "Call in artillery," and I had never called in artillery before, and so I called in, I said, send a marker around, and I gave them coordinates, and it was way off, and I had to keep bringing the marker rounds closer and closer, and then once I got it where they were close enough, then I started having them shell all around us.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemy started pulling back, and then the sun started coming up. And there were quite a few casualties. I don't remember how many were wounded and were shot or killed. But the group of us that went in, the 10 of us that went in, we all came together, and our machine gunner, Smitty, was kind of our leader. Everyone looked up to him. He had been shot and killed. And so we were all just sitting there with tears in our eyes. And a lot of us got Bronze Stars that night. But when I came home from Vietnam, I never talked about Vietnam. I might say some things to Peg, and then Mike, my brother-in-law, who was in Vietnam, I might talk to him. But other than that, I didn't talk to my kids, my family, my mom and dad. I never said anything to them. And I just put it out of my mind. No one knew that I was in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's quite a story about that April the 12th situation.
Well,
if it hadn't been for the artillery, you guys would have been dead,
yes,
wouldn't you?
Yes. But in 2015, my grandson called me up, and he was in 3rd grade, and he said, "Grandpa, I want you to come to my school and talk on Veterans Day and talk to my class about Vietnam and being a veteran." And so I went, and I told some stories about helicopters and different things like that, because these were 3rd graders.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that every year. Been doing it every year since.
Good. Good.
With other grandkids, but in 2019, and because of doing that, I started writing some little letter or short stories about Vietnam. And when I went to, and somehow I got into a group that was my guys, my company. They saw one of my letters on Facebook, and they got a hold of me and told me that they were going to have a reunion, the 50th reunion, and it was going to be in Washington. And so Peg and I went to it. And when we were there, this one guy that was in one of the other platoons, he came over to me and he said, "Rick, I read the little short story you did on about the day, it was named The Day I Lost a Good Friend, and it was about April the 12th.
Was that about Smitty or?
Yes. And he said, when you guys came in, we were pinned down, and Smitty was standing right in front of me. And he says, I was laying on the ground, I was wounded. And Smitty was standing there with his machine gun, just spraying the enemy. And he saved my life. And then he got shot right there in front of me. And so he told me exactly how it happened to Smitty, because when we went in, it was pitch black. You couldn't see anybody. You couldn't do anything. But so
The only way you could tell where the enemy was from the flash of their rifles and stuff. What was most of their armament? AK-47s or what?
Mainly just AK-47s was their biggest thing.
When you were out on any of your missions, did you overrun any camps that they had abandoned and find any equipment and ammunition and rice?
We found caches of rice. We had a situation where the company was pinned down. They were trying to get this camp. We found this big camp, and we were trying to overrun it, and they just would not give up. And they had tunnels, and we couldn't. They kept going in, pulling back. Finally, my squad was called up, and we had to take our turn. And it was the second time that I got a Bronze Star, Bronze Star. And I had to charge a bunker and throw grenades into the bunker and to get it to, and that's what I did. I just charged the bunker and I threw all these grenades in, and we got it to where the one main bunker that was holding us all back.
How did you attack that bunker? You didn't go straight at it, did you?
Yeah, I just ran straight at it and through the bunkers by myself, yep.
How many yards did you run?
I don't remember. So, but after that, we were able to take over the whole encampment, and there were tunnels under there, so there were a lot of ammo, there was a lot of weapons, there were a lot of different things.
So what'd you do with that stuff? Did you destroy it somehow, or?
You destroyed it, a lot of it just went back to the base camps, main camps and that, and you never knew what happened to it then.
What'd you do with rice and stuff? Did you just burn it, or?
They just destroyed it all.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was your first Bronze Star?
That was the night of when Smitty
April
got
12th?
killed. Yes. Pretty much all of us in that group got the Bronze Star at that night.
Can we see your shadow box?
Oh.
I got the shadow box.
You got the shadow
Let's
box.
show a picture of you.
Oh, yes.
Where are you on this picture?
That was, let me see. That was at Malone.
Tilt to me. It's reflecting. Hang on. This camera has a mind of its own. Got it.
Okay.
Here's one of my Bronze Stars. This is for the 12th,
April the 12th?
April the 12th.
Good.
It just says heroism in ground combat in the Republic of Vietnam on 12th April 1969.
Let's talk about these, and
Please.
I'll try to get it here so you can tell us what each one of these is all about. First of all,
You ready?
do I need to tilt this?
No, we're good.
Okay, the badge right here, that's the 25th Infantry Division badge, and it's the tropical lightning. It's actually the unit is out of Hawaii. This is my sergeant stripes. The rifle down here in the blue field, which is upside down, is meant that I was in combat. I was a combat infantry. The green and yellow with the stripes right here, that's Vietnam. These are my dog tags.
What's under your dog tag?
Presidential unit citation
Yeah.
looks like to me.
Yeah. And this thing going around here, this was just a decoration. I don't know what it's really called for. It's just a decoration you had around your sleeve on your dress uniform.
What's a red and yellow above the green?
National Defense Service Medal.
Yeah.
And
And-
above that, the Army Good Conduct Medal.
And the one of them that's not there is the Air Medal. If you had 25 combat flights,
Insertions by a helicopter?
insertions by helicopter, you would get that. That's not on there, but would be one of them.
Well,
Here you go.
tell me about some of those helicopter insertions. Helicopter was pretty dangerous duty, wasn't it?
When I went to my grandson's school and had to talk to them, one of my stories was about helicopters. Because I wasn't really sure what to talk about to third graders, what they would understand in that. So when I got there, I started to talk, and actually I broke down and started crying. I couldn't talk. And I had 3 classes of third graders sitting in this big room. And across the back, I had like 7 or 8 veterans. And then there was 3 teachers in there. I get up to start to talk, and I told the kids, I said, back when I was in the service, it's not like today when everyone's happy that the soldiers come home and things like that. And I said, it wasn't like that back then. And that's when I started crying. Or I had tears in my eyes, and I choked up. And there's this little girl sitting right in front of me on the floor, and she's just looking at me, and all I could think was, oh, she's just wondering why this old man is standing up here crying. And so I just blurted out, has anyone ever flown in a helicopter? And to my surprise, like 15 hands go up.
Oh.
And I said, well, when I went to Vietnam, I had never been in a helicopter. We didn't even see helicopters in all our basic training in that. And so my first mission was we had to go out in a helicopter. And my sergeants lined us up. We were in a group of like 6 or 7 here, 6 or 7 there, and on down. The whole company was going out, so there was a lot of groups, a lot of helicopters. And my sergeant said to me, when the helicopter comes in, or when the chopper comes in, is what he said. He said, when the chopper comes in, I want you to be the first one on. I want you to jump on, get in the middle, sit on the seat in the middle, because I know you've never done this before. So I want you to the big thing is you've got to do it fast. So the chopper came in, it was windy, I was holding my helmet on, everything else. I ran over, or jumped in, I sat down in the seat. 2 guys sat down here, 2 guys sat down over here. One sat on the floor over here, and one sat on the floor over here. And we took off. And I was scared to death. And this is what I'm telling all these kids. And I said, and we went up, and we flew, and we came down, and we landed. And I said, ooh, that was kind of neat. I like that. And the more I flew, instead of being the one sitting on the seat, I was the last one in, and I would sit at the edge of the door with my feet right along the edge of the door, straight down, and I'd lean up against the railing in the front. Did I do anything? Where the pilot is, and it's straight down right there. And I said, we'd take off, fly. He says, and I told him, I said, and when you're in your car and your mom or dad are driving and you go around a corner, all 4 wheels stay on the ground. When you're in a helicopter and you have to turn, it goes into a bank. So it's like this. So you're actually sitting like this, and you can look straight down. And I said, and you know what the neatest part about the whole thing was? No one wore seatbelts. And you should have heard all the kids in the class just, wow. But we flew in to a lot of different things, or combat situations. Most of the times you were not getting shot at. And in my case, none of my helicopters that I was in got hit. My sergeant that I had, he was out on a mission. He got hit. The chopper went down. Another chopper came back in, picked him up, and he had to continue on his mission. And he said, he told me, he said, I had to jump back on that helicopter. And I said, well, do I really want to get on this helicopter? But helicopters were really neat. I don't know that I could ride in one now. Because, you'd sit there with your feet hanging out, or if you look at can't hardly see it here, but the picture of this guy with his feet hanging out, that was real common. And
did you ever have to do any firing from your helicopter?
No, never did.
Good.
The gunners had to. There's a gunner that would be behind us where we're sitting, a gunner on this side and a gunner on this side, M60s, and they would have to fire into certain areas as we were going in to make sure nothing was there. So,
what were LZs?
LZs.
Landing zone.
Landing zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, if you were out in an area, you were out on ambush or whatever, and the choppers were going to come to pick you up, the radio operation raider would call the lead helicopter, and they would, we would tell them where we were at. Then we would throw a smoke, colored smoke, and they would come in so that they knew where we were at, and pick us up, take us off. Sometimes, when we were flying in, they just said, okay, this is the coordinates, and we would fly in and land down. And I was fortunate that I didn't have to go into very many hot LZs.
How about bungee sticks? Did you encounter any of those?
No.
Your ambushes, were they set up mostly on trails that were frequently used?
Right. You would set up on. You would walk it. You would take in all day long. You would walk. You were going out. You were observing, and you were finding trails and different places that might be heavy traffic. So you would say, okay, this is a good place for us to set up. We wouldn't set up right then. We would continue going and then come back to that spot just at dusk and set up, and we would already know exactly what we needed to know about the place, and then we'd set up and have our ambush at that point. Now, this one night, this one day, we were walking through this area, and there was an old French house that had been bombed and blown up and shot and everything. And we said, okay, this looks like a good place that we should set up for an ambush. And we ate lunch there, and then we left, and we walked so far, and we came back, and we got back there just as it was getting dark. And I was walking lead into it, and I was point man, and I got real close to the front porch of this building, and I could hear people coming in the back of the building. And so I took a grenade, I put my hand up, everyone stopped, took a grenade, and I threw it in. And I blew our position, so I threw the grenade in. Then everyone had to turn around and take off the other way. And we walked and we walked and we walked. And we were in the rice paddy, so we were walking on all these berms. And finally the lieutenant said, okay, this is where we're going to set up. And we were setting up right in the middle of this rice paddy. So he said, this group here, 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 and here. So I took my guys, and we were sitting in the one corner. And the water was here, and the berm came up like this. And we had two new guys, and I said, you guys, you're going to have first watch. And they were all scared because they were first times out. They were, we'd just thrown a hand grenade, and we were running through the dark. And so I said, you two, you take first watch. You've got this area here. You've got to watch it. I said, and the rest of us will take a nap, go to take our sleep and get up when it's our watch. And the one guy says, well, where are we going to sleep? He says, this is all water. And I said, well, this is how I'm doing it. And I took my helmet off. I laid it down in the water. So it was just up coming out of the water. And I laid down on my side, put my head on the helmet, put my M16 on the side of me, and I went to sleep. Next morning, we got up, and the guys thought I was crazy, first of all. But next morning when we were getting up, getting ready to get out of the place, I said, okay, now this is the problem with sleeping in water or in rice paddies. And so I pulled my shirt off, and I had
Leeches.
I had big leech here, and I had several on the back. And the one guy, one of the new guys, he was there, and he was smoking a cigarette. And I said, let me have your cigarette. And so he gave me his cigarette, and I took it, hit the one, and it popped off. And I could get to the one, and I gave the cigarette to another guy. I said, get the other one off of me. And because they were about that long. And so he did that, and I took the cigarette and I gave it back to the guy. I said, here's your cigarette back. I don't want that cigarette. So.
How about snakes? Did you have any warning or any problems with snakes?
I really did not have that much problems with snakes. We had more problems with leeches and fire ants. Fire ants, you'd be walking point, and you'd walk right into a nest of them, and you're walking point, and the guys are back here, and all of a sudden the guy up there is ripping his clothes off because he's got all these ants, and all you could do is laugh.
Well, what kind of nests did they have? Were they on the ground or?
Oh, they would be everywhere. They would have them just in trees. Do you know what the big machines that they had? I can't think of the name of it. Were in the plantations, because when I first got over there, we were up in the plantations, rubber tree plantations, and so they brought in these big machines, and they would go through and they would cut like a 50-foot strip of trees. They had these big blades, and they would knock all these trees down and just keep going. So from the air, you could see where the Vietnamese were crossing these places because they had paths going through there. So we were patrolling this area one time, and we had to take our break. And so I'm sitting there on this log, and this ant came crawling by, one of these big red ants, and he's crawling through. And I took, because we were on the rubber trees, I broke a leaf off, and when you break the leaf off, the sap comes out of the end of it, and I dabbed this ant. Well, as soon as you do that, he sends out a signal, and all of a sudden you have two ants coming. So I dabbed two more ants, and they send more out, and all of a sudden all these ants start coming. And I'm just dabbing all these ants here. And so finally we moved out, thank goodness, because they were just all kept coming. But no, ants, didn't matter where you were at. If you were in a firefight, if you were just sitting around walking, if an ant got on you, one of those fire ants got on you, they would just start chewing you, and you would just do anything you could to get those ants off of you.
Oh, wow. Well, when did you finally leave country?
Well, in my ninth month, my captain asked me this one day, he said, Rick, are you going to stay in the Army when you go home? And I said, no. And he said, well, if you extend and you go home with less than 6 months, you don't have to serve those last 6 months. And I said, yep, I know that, but I don't really want to stay out on line for an extra, 4 months to get that extension. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to extend, I will see that you go back and work in supply, for those last 4 months. And I said, well, I'll think about it. Soon I wrote Peg and my mother a letter that said, I'm extending in Vietnam. They were not happy. But I got to go back. Instead of being out on line, I got to go back to S4. And my job was to be at the helicopter pad and send the supplies out. The big Chinooks coming in, and I had big nets filled with stuff. I have to get under a Chinook and put the thing up on the hook so they could take the supplies, or put them in the helicopters or the Hueys and send them out. And so I got home from Vietnam on March the 21st of 70, 3 days after I turned 22 days, 3 days? 21st, no, I guess 19, 20, 21, 2 days after I turned 23.
Did you get married in May then?
And I got married in May.
Where'd you get married?
St. James in Wyoming.
And where'd you guys live?
We lived in we got an apartment in St. Bernard on Upland Street, or Upland Place, and $85 a month for a three-room apartment.
What was Peg doing while you were over in?
She was working down at the Hamilton County Courthouse in the bailiff's office.
So how long did you stay in that? Did you get a job, by the way?
As soon as I got home, got married, then I went back to school, the Central Academy of Commercial Art. I went back for a summer course to catch up with it. And then I went to work for Whiteway Spalding. It was a lighting company in Northside in their art department. And then 3 years later, I started my own advertising agency.
What was the name of it?
Optimum Graphics. And then I had that for 18 or 19 years. While I had that, my partner and I built a family fun center, a miniature golf course out in Milford. It's called Putt Fun. So I took over that, and I sold him my share of Optimum Graphics, and then I had Putt Fun for about 18 or 19 years. Company came in and bought my property, and then I built this house here, and bought an old house here, tore it down, designed this house. I was the general contractor and built this house. We've been here for 16 years.
So did Peg continue to work for the courthouse?
For a little while.
And then you started having children?
Yes.
Then I worked for Tri-House for,
Tell me about your children. How many did you have?
well, we had 4.
We had 4.
4 children. And we've already talked about them.
Right.
Did she go back to work outside the home at all?
Well, we started when we had Putt Fun. I bought the place next door, and we put a country craft shop in that, and she ran that for quite a few years.
10.5 years.
And then we just decided that she didn't need to do that anymore, so she went to work for Dillard's in the shoe department for several years, and
4 years.
4 years, and then she went to work for Tri-Health.
What did she do for Tri-Health?
I worked in the lab.
Worked in the lab?
Worked in the lab.
How long did she work for Tri-Health? Or is she still there?
15 and a half years.
How many?
15.
15 and a half years?
Yeah.
Made it through COVID, and then I said, okay, it's time to retire.
So you're both retired. What-
Well, once I built this place, my daughter called me up one day and said, Dad, she worked for Jarrett, the Gallery of Jewelry. She said, they're looking for a porter. And I said, a porter? She said, yeah, a glorified janitor. And I said, well, I've been cleaning toilets at Puttin Fund for the last 18 years. So I went there and I worked there for 9 years, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 9 to 2. And then a neighbor back here who worked for the service department caught me one day and he says, Rick, I need somebody to cut grass for Evendale. And I said, well, that sounds kind of interesting. So I've been cutting grass for Evendale, and I still cut grass 2 days a week for Evendale all summer. On Monday,
You got a riding mower?
I got a big riding mower.
Now, is it a sit down or a stand up one?
No, sit down. And
Zero turn?
yep. I've got 25 acres of area that I have to take care of.
And you do that 3 days a week?
2 days a
2
week.
days a week?
7 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, man. You just don't rest, do you? What do you do in your free time? Do you do painting?
That's what I do, painting. Well, I haven't done any painting for the last several months because she's been all laid up and I've been taking care of her.
Okay, yeah.
You've been working at your sister's bar.
Oh, and I've been working at my sister's bar remodeling.
Built the whole place, and
You're,
now he's remodeling the whole place. And
you're,
our
one,
kids have a job for him.
you're a one-man wrecking crew. Tom, do you have anything you want to chat with him about? We've been here a good while. Peggy, is there anything you want to bring up that we haven't talked about?
No, he's just a good man that's always doing something for everybody else, so
It sounds like it.
I'm going to keep him a little longer. We've been married 55 years, so.
Oh, 65 years of marriage, you're just getting used to each other.
Is there any chance that I can just go like this?
Put it on your knee so it doesn't move. Tell us about your book.
Well, I started writing a little short stories in 2015 after my grandson asked me to come to school. And so this is poems, and like the first, when I wrote the poem at the beginning of this story, that's in this book. And so it's just about me and my family.
Well, looking through your bio and your DD 214, I can't think of anything else that we haven't talked about, but if Tom doesn't have anything, thank you for this interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you for being able to do this and letting people see this.
Our granddaughter, she goes to Ohio State, and she's the one that told him about this. So he contacted the
Claremont County.
Okay.
library.
And they told us to that I should check the Hamilton County first.
Yeah.
If Hamilton County didn't want to do it, then I should go back there.